In this lecture, I'm going to preview the lab number 10 scatter plot. If you've already done the scatter plot, then you can skip this. Okay, so this was part 3. And I'm just going to go through what you're expected to do. So you're going to do a scatter plot. You're going to plot your dependent variable and your variable of interest, your x1 variable, using a scatter plot and trend line. You did this in lab 2 weeks ago, and this time you'll spend more time analyzing the graph. So the first thing to do is to rearrange your data so that you've copy and pasted the y variable over here again. And so let me show you how I did this in my sample. So life expectancy is my y variable. I just created a column, inserted a blank column here, and then copied it over. And the reason I did that is that in making a graph, Excel looks at the first one as the x, what's going to be on the x-axis. Okay, so if you just highlight like you did before and then click on the scatter plot, you'll be able to get something that looks like this. And so let's go back to the lab. We did that. So the second thing you have to do is to clean up the graph according to the Tuesday principles. No shadows, not too many grid lines or none at all, no decimals on axes, etc. Okay, so if we come back here, you can see that there are shadows here, and if I click on those, there's a choice to, oh, they don't have shadows. Okay, well that's good. They look kind of fuzzy to me. I guess that's because there's so many of them. But you know, what's this with the axis? You don't need that that extra decimal there. So I'm going to make the decimal, oops, let's delink it from the source and make the decimal go away. Okay, and then you don't need these lines, so you can also get rid of those as well. So we have the line, no line. Let's see what that does. Okay, well that took away that. That's good, but we want to get rid of these axis lines too. Okay, so line, no line. Okay, so things like that. You could also, we don't need that many numbers here. Okay, so that needs a little bit more work. You probably don't need this. Let's get rid of that. Dink. Okay, so stuff like that, you want to, you probably want the comma in the thousand mark here, and probably not so many of these either. So you should work on that to really clean up your graph. Okay. Then you have to give your graph a title and add the source. And so here I have the source. The title here needs to be Figure 1, life expectancy at birth. And I don't think we need that. Okay. Maybe we need a title here. So I can look at my chart layout and go to axis titles, and on the vertical axis I think we can say years here. So we don't have to have that in two places. Oops. Let me make that years. Oops. Okay, so something like that. Okay, again, I think you need to reduce those. I just don't want to bore you to tears on this in previewing the lab. Okay, then add a trend line. And so you can, you did that already, so I'm not going to go over that. Okay, so your final graph should show a plot of your dependent variable on the y-axis and your explanatory or independent variable x on the x-axis. It should also show the trendline function that fits the data best. Okay, so you did that before. The rest of this lab, though, is to really analyze, to think about what your graph tells us. So questions refer to your y and x1 variables. Be sure to use your actual variable names when you answer these questions. So what are we expecting you to do? I want you to copy these questions and then paste them into the Excel file. I'm going to put them here. Okay, so here's the graph, and as you're looking at it with your group, let's see what this question says. It says, does trend line show a positive or negative relationship? Explain what this means. Okay, so your answer might be something like the life expectancy, oops, I don't like the bold. Okay, life expectancy rises with income. Okay, so is it linear or nonlinear? Well, maybe I even want to say here, life expectancy rises with income, but at higher incomes, the relationship levels out. In other words, life expectancy rises at a decreasing rate. That's another way of describing that shape. Okay, so when you have that, this line, these answers are going to be able to go into your next writing assignment, which will ask you to discuss the figure. So basically you're going to be complete and show the figure and then tell your reader what it's all about. Okay, and that's all you need to do for that.